Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
And welcome to Pattaya, welcome to Thailand, and welcome to the podcast. What can we say? We're live again and in the studio. We've got two great guys in the studio today. Like I said on the post, it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride because in the studio is Andy James. Welcome to the studio, Andy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm really good.
Really?
And my chicken's even better.
Do you know I've got my fingers crossed, my legs crossed and everything. He's just saying, oh, this shit goes good.
I've been drinking over at Camel Toe.
Good. And at the end, Tony from Magna Carta. How are you, Tony?
I'm fine, thank you.
Nice
I think anyway.
Yeah, well, it's not started yet, mate, so don't worry about it. What we have got, though, is we've got a nurse on hand.
Oh.
So if you do feel a bit faint at the end of the table from Andy's, pounding, should I say, we can look
Deep
after
and
you.
husky voice.
Deep and husky voice.
Is it a female nurse?
Okay, yeah. I don't know yet, not checked. Let's just go with you, Tony, first. From Magna Carta,
Yes.
Can we just start with the serious stuff first and just tell us where you are and what you do?
We're located on South Pattaya Road. We're a law office. We do all kinds of legal work. We've been around since 2003. And that's basically it.
Wow. That's
in a nutshell.
I was going to say, that's a small nutshell. But you do, of course, you just basically cover all the legal things that people...
Everything legal.
That need. In Thailand and abroad, or is it just Thailand?
Just in Thailand.
Just in Thailand. And been here since 2003, yeah? So 17 years down on...
South Pattaya Road, on the corner of 3rd Road.
Always the same place?
Yes, always the same
Wow.
place.
Okay.
It was a
Always
bank
the same
building,
place.
that wasn't it, Tone?
It was,
Used
yes.
to be a bank building, yeah.
Did
Our
it?
office used to be next door to it, and then we took over the
Bank.
building.
You did say bank.
Yeah, bank.
Bank, yeah.
Not Gold Bank.
Look,
Bank.
bank. Okay. So 2003. So
Yes.
let's take you back to, I think I'm going to get this right, and tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. Let me take you back to 1993, yeah? 96, and Tony was 1998.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. In 96-ish, 98. Let's say 98, Andy. That's fair on both of you. I mean, let's take Tony first. How did you end up here?
I used to have a business back in England in a cafe, and I used to have a guy that was next door to me doing a business, and he kept asking me to come to Thailand. And I didn't know why. There was no computers around or any books or anything like that. So basically I kept saying no, and then one day he walked into my shop and he bought something and it was £2, and he turned around that I owed him £498. When I asked him why, he said, here's the ticket for Thailand, we leave in 3 hours.
498 back then?
Yes.
Wow, that's not cheap, is it?
No.
That's like today's prices.
I don't know, I haven't flown for a long time.
It is, though. I mean, you can get flights, can't you, Andy, for roughly that? Yeah, surely. 400 or
If you
500
want to
quid.
fly economy, I guess.
Oh, here we go. Posh
We were business, yeah.
Posh git in
We
the
were
studio.
No,
Posh git to learn.
we're too fat for economy now, Dave.
I never said that, you see. I never started on the fat jokes. You
Aren't
did.
we, Tone?
Yes, we are.
We are.
I agree.
So
and that
he-
was it, I was hooked.
Yeah, so you got the ticket. You're on the plane, and you've never been in your life. You got into Pattaya. First impression.
I fell in love with it.
Andy?
I walked around starstruck. I was like shocked. It was like so cool.
I mean, in those days, I mean, we've got a couple of pictures that we'll put on the video a little bit later on. But it wasn't nothing like now, though, was it? It was completely dirt roads and that, surely.
Yes, but what happened was that when I got here, I arrived here about 2:00 in the afternoon, and the guy that bought me said, don't judge it on what you see now. Wait till 7, 8 o'clock and judge it, because what you see now at 2:00, it just looked like a ghost town. There was nothing there.
Okay.
And then when we come out at 6, 7, 8 o'clock, the neons were up and everything was thriving and bumping around, and that was it.
So what about Walking Street, Andy? I mean, you know, back in those days, I mean, did
There
it
was
exist?
a few bars on there.
Did it
no,
exist?
But it didn't know.
Both sides?
No, when I opened Misty's, I was about the 12th go-go bar to open in the whole of Pattaya.
Wow.
The bars that were here, I think we discussed the other week. The first one being, I think, was TQ1. But realistically, Walking Street as such existed, but it didn't have many bars, and it had likes of Champion, Super Baby, Supergirl, Happy, I think, Happy. But no, the main soy for go-go bars, there was, if I remember right, it was like Nevada in
Yes.
Soy Post Office.
Yes.
And another one across from it. Can you remember the name?
Yamato.
Soy
Was it not
Yamato.
Hot and Cold?
Hot, It might have been all nice with ice. No,
Or just something like that.
no, that wasn't a go-go
Nice with
bar.
ice.
Something like that.
No. But no, that was there was Nevada, a go-go, and there was another one that was owned by Peter, who drinks in the Camel Toe. That's 2 mentions, Barry.
That's 2 mentions, Barry. That's free. Does he do roast dinners now? That's still down there.
No, they haven't got a chef there now.
So I mean, what can we get out of him? I mean, we keep plugging him.
I don't know.
You know what he's like.
He's small, isn't he?
Yeah,
Small and cuddly.
small and cuddly. Yeah, in fact, I wanted to sit him on the chair today over there in the corner.
Well, we've got the chicken, haven't we?
So besides the girls' here, of course, which was I would imagine one of the draws, or is the draw, or whatever you want to say.
Obviously, there's nothing else here.
I mean, was there nothing else that sort of caught your eye and you went, "That's nice"? Or Tony? I mean, besides that, was it just the girls'
Nuge
side?
Gardens, you do that once, you've done it enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to find out. Back in that days, I mean, was there attractions or anything?
Not
There was
really.
Nong Nud, wasn't there?
Nuge Gardens,
Sriracha Tiger Zoo.
the crocodile farm.
Yeah.
It's been there forever.
Been there forever.
But no, there was nothing at all. It was go-go bars, beer bars.
There was
on the beach.
Was there a cinema? There was a
Yeah, there
cinema at Royal Garden.
Royal
Garden
Garden
Plaza.
Yes.
Royal Garden had did they have a cinema there?
Yes, they did. Where Madame Two Swords
They
is
did.
now.
They
Definitely
did.
had a cinema.
Wow. Interesting.
Ripley's.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was there as well. Ripley's.
Oh, it was there, was it?
It was there.
Wow.
It's been there forever.
Wow. I mean,
there forever.
I just thought that was pretty newish.
No, it's been there a long time.
Wow.
And the Royal Garden was really the go-to shopping mall, wasn't it?
But
And
it was-
Mike's.
Yeah, there was no
Was Mike's
central.
was Mike's there?
Mike's
then?
was there, yeah. Yeah.
Where Central was a go-go bars and beer bars
Yeah.
before Central got there.
Yeah.
What about your friends at home? I mean, like you said, we never had any internet. We had things like this then. I mean, what was it like in the communication side of it? You relaying all this to your friends and getting your friends to come
Well,
over.
there was mobile phones.
Mobile phones, yeah, of course.
I didn't have any friends, so it wasn't a
I
problem.
wasn't talking to you, Tony.
You had me, Tony. Tony came into my bar. That's how I met him.
Only paid ones.
Tony came on his holiday and came into my
Did he
bar.
come on his own?
Yeah.
Did you come on your own?
No, I had 3 or 4 people with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were paid. What about normal people?
Well, Tone came into my bar.
Yeah, did he?
Yeah.
And what was? I mean, when you're here, Andy, and you decided to start your first go-go bar here, which has been here for a long time, in Pattaya. I mean, what? How did you get into that? I mean, what was the
Well, I worked in Microsoft. I had a partner who was still a very close friend of mine, a guy called Brian Nelson. And Brian was quite high up in Microsoft in Hong Kong. And when I stopped working there, I came over here and we were going to do a hotel. In fact, the hotel's still there. We were looking at buying the Bay Breeze Hotel, which is on Second Road.
Second Road, yeah.
Right. And this goes back a bit. And the asking price for it was 89 million baht in 1997.
Ow. Okay.
And it was an 89-bedroom hotel with 2 huge apartments on the roof. Mm-hmm. And it was a little rundown, and we agreed on the price. And when we got a structural engineering team in to check the hotel out, it needed 10 million bahts worth of work doing on it. Bear in mind as well, the exchange rate was superb at the time.
What was it then?
97. Well, we were coming over with Hong Kong dollars, which was sort of linked to the US, but at the time, the English pound was probably 78-ish.
Good then.
Yeah, very good.
So yeah, it
Very
was
good.
really
Very
good.
good.
And anyway, cut a long story short, the hotel deal fell apart. And I sat here for a year almost doing nothing. And then I spoke with Brian and just said, I need to do something. I'm so bored. And we opened a little bar, which was a single unit. Ended up paying the rent to the wrong person,
As we all do.
Then
Right, can you squeeze a chicken there? Because that's a whack
yeah,
whack oops moment.
we,
that is.
we got the touristy.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
And it was the lady that had it was renting it, hadn't paid the owner rent for a year. We bought the bar from some guys for around 3 or 4 million baht and paid a year advance with key money to the lady.
So you didn't use a lawyer then, no?
No, we didn't.
Does this seem like a recurring story, Tony? This is a recurring story.
Although after that, I met Tony and things have been good since. Magna Carta, superb.
Once stung, dial Tony.
And I tell you what, if anyone's listening and they get stuck on something, I've used Magna Carta numerous times, and they are one of the best in town. So that's not a plug.
It's
That's real.
the due diligence side of it. You must do. I mean, like Andy. I mean, Tony. In all fairness, he's not the first, and he won't be the last that came in here and put his dirt. He put his feet in the water and got stung.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But also, then about 4 weeks after owning the bar, we got a phone call, and somebody asked where the lady was, and I said, "Oh, she's not here. We rent the bar office." She said, "No, I'm the owner, and she hasn't paid me for a year, and I don't want to rent it anymore. I want to sell the building." And we had to come up with, I think we paid $4.5 million for the building.
So in the end, you actually paid her that money that she ran away with. And then
we
you
didn't
ended up
just.
paying.
That was a real big headache. I mean,
Yeah.
we just paid $4 million for a bar.
Yeah.
And then we were stuck with
known, yeah.
$4.5 million for a building. So $8.5 million later.
But it is deja vu, isn't it, Tony?
It is.
It is. Many, many, many times. You must hear of this a lot.
I don't understand that when people do big purchases for a lot of money, they tend to forget about the diligence side of it. Maybe it's because it's in a foreign country. Maybe because it's hard for them to understand. But, people are buying 8 or 10 million baht property and they're not spending 25 or 30,000 baht to check it out.
But I mean, if they were in their own country and they were going out to buy a house and it was £100,000,
Of course they'd have it checked
they
out.
wouldn't just knock on the door and give the guy 100 grand, surely.
It's the same, and I just don't get it. Where a guy will come in and he'll want to open a business, meet a girl from a bar, he's known her 3 months, and he puts a club and a bar and his house all in her name. And when it all goes to shit, which it normally does.
Yes, absolutely.
They're shocked, and I would say to them, would you do that in the UK if you just met an English girl in the UK? Would you put your business, your house, all this in some girl you've known 12 weeks? And they'd say no.
But Tony, going on what Andy's just said, let's just swing it over to you a second. How can people protect themselves, what Andy's talking about? I mean, I'm here, I've got a girlfriend, I want to do what Andy's just said. How can I protect myself?
Well, you don't put things in people's names that you haven't known for a long time, basically.
But I'm in love. I want to marry her. She's the girl of my choice. Of course. But I'm just saying this because it happens. You know that it happens.
Well, I think the easiest answer is get a lawyer.
which I do understand. But I mean, if I came to you with the girlfriend of my dreams that I'd met 2 weeks ago and I say I want to put it all in her name, you would say
everything that I own in Thailand is in my wife's name.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't really listen to me.
Yeah, I understand that, and I'm the same. But if somebody's coming to you and saying, A, they want to buy a bar,
Yeah.
whose name would they put that in? Would they form a company?
They can form a company,
Yeah.
or if they have a Thai partner. Basically, what I would say to them is that if they say that they're going to put everything into their girlfriend's name, I would just give them the advice that you do understand that if something goes wrong and you end up splitting up with her, you've already put it all in her name. So it's going to be very hard for you to get it back.
So where does tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm shooting in the dark. Where does the bit where it comes in, where if you've got the girlfriend and you've got the guy and they're both in love and they want to do this, but he wants to put it into her name and you advise, hey, get a company. Is it the situation where you can put like 49% in his name and you have a share and then she has a share, or what? How does that work?
No, the problem is that a company can own a property with no issues, but the nominee shareholders is illegal. So if you're a foreigner and you buy a house and you put it into a company and you have 49% and the other two Thai shareholders have 51%, although the structure of the company is fine, actually what you're doing is illegal.
Okay.
But there isn't any other structure for a foreigner to purchase a house in Thailand.
And
So a lot of foreigners do
It's been a
it.
loophole that's been used for many years, with mostly no problem, but problems do arise.
Are foreigners allowed to lease somewhere for like 99 years? Does that exist?
No, 30 years.
30 years,
30.
but in their
30 years.
name?
Yes.
So that is a safe way of
The
doing it.
foreigner
yes?
can have the house in their name as well.
Yes.
Because there's no document in Thailand that actually tells you who owns a house. But if the construction permit's in your name and you can prove that you paid the builder, then it's assumed under the law that you own the house. And when you transfer it to the land office, the house can be in your name.
Here's an interesting one, though, Tone. And I don't know the whole thing, but I just hear it bandied around about Americans. Can they not be a director of their own company without any Thai shareholders?
Yeah, under the Treaty of Amity.
Yeah,
That's right. So Americans have got it good, really. in that
we
respect.
said that before.
Can they buy property, though?
No.
in that company.
No. All it is
Okay.
it's 100% foreign company. So you have to
Right.
set it up with 100% foreigners as the shares.
Right. Okay.
So where does it come in? This is only what I've heard. So I mean, I just want you to sort of get right. So if the house is in the foreigner's name, what about the land side of it? The actual land that it sits on.
Well, the land side would then be in the girlfriend's name, so you end up with the land in the girlfriend and a house in the foreigner. So what you do there is that you create a Mexican standoff.
Yeah, because
which is that if something happens in the future,
take your house.
precisely, precisely. But the thing is that there's 30-year leases. There's usufructs, which is like
What is that?
an usufruct is where you get the benefit of the building. And you can utilise that building for your own benefit without a cost. But the problem is the leases and the usufructs and the mortgages that people use to protect themselves wasn't put in place for the foreigner to protect themselves. So if I want to lease a bit of land for 30 years, I go and register a mortgage for 30 years with the owner of the land. If I want to buy a bit of land and put it in my girlfriend's name and then register the 30 years to protect myself, it wasn't set up for that.
Right.
And nowadays, the land officers will actually call you both into the land office and they will have an interview with you. They want to make sure this is a real lease and not the foreigners trying to protect himself. And if they find out the foreigners trying to protect themselves, they'll cancel the transaction. They won't do it.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, can those 30-year leases be guaranteed extended?
No,
So that's it.
no, that's it. You can have, on the 30-year lease, you can have at the bottom of it, this lease can be extended a further 30 years. But if both parties don't agree, the fact that you've got it on the paper, it doesn't
Means
matter
nothing.
because the maximum you can register under the law is 30 years.
Right.
So when
Interesting.
going back in time, when Pattaya was just like the Bay Area and
Yeah.
the families here, and they started to sell off their land. I mean, was that did they sell it to Thai people or did they sell it to American people or what? I mean, because I heard once, quote me if I'm wrong, that you can have one rai in Thailand, but you have to have quite a lot of money in the bank to do that.
No, you have to have a BOI company, board of investment company. Then that company can own one rai of land.
And that's it, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. See, it puts us...
And
I
also,
did
you
that
have.
as well.
There's one more thing which is interesting. Let's say, for example, you have a child, and the child's got dual nationality. So they have a British passport and a Thai passport.
Yes.
They can keep that up to the age of 20. The age of 20, then she has to choose because Thailand doesn't accept dual nationality. Now, the majority of people won't choose, and they'll just keep the British passport hidden. But let's say the father then buys some land and puts it into her name, and she puts it in her name under the Thai ID card. And let's say somebody notices this and says to the land officer, this girl has dual nationality. Because she didn't give up her Thai citizenship, then it will be deemed that she's a foreigner. So therefore that transaction probably will be revoked. She won't lose the land, but it'll say that the foreigner has ended up owning the land.
So
you
all
have
these
6
people
months
that
to
rush
get it
out
back.
to get their kids registered as a, let's say, for England,
Yes.
because we're English.
Well, like I've done.
Right.
I mean, my lads have got dual passports.
Same as mine.
After
Yeah.
20 years old,
When they get to the age of majority.
they have to then decide.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And
So
that's
what-
not the British side of it, that's the Thai side of it. The Thai side doesn't
But how
recognise
does
dual
that-
nationality.
Yeah, but how does that... let's just take my son then, for example. Let's just reflect that my son is half Thai, half UK, and he gets to 20. You're telling me that he's got to sit there and decide if he wants to be a Thai national or a UK national.
He has to decide whether he wants to be a Thai national. British UK
So if he's-
allows dual citizenship.
Okay,
Thailand-
so
So in
that-
other words,
so-
if you didn't tell anybody...
So
and
what if
kept
he
it
says
quiet-
no?
How do you mean no?
Well, you say that he has to choose if he wants to be a Thai, but he wants to stay a Thai national as well.
So he's just going to hide the passport. Nobody's ever
That's
going to
it.
know.
Okay.
But the point that if
can
he
still,
buys
can he still
land-
use it, yeah?
Yeah, he can still use
Okay,
it, but he can't
interesting.
use it to get out of the country because it hasn't got a visa on it. So he'd use his Thai passport to get out of the country and a British passport to get into Britain. That's how it would work.
Yeah, okay, that's what I did. I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I've done the two passport thing already.
But if he bought land, as Tony was saying, and
Yeah.
somebody found out he had dual nationality, it would be a
So
problem.
what about this then? Here's a scenario for you. The moment I have land, yeah, and well, my wife, yeah, and then he gets to later on, she wants to transfer everything into his name.
Yes.
For example, does that 20-year thing count then?
What, if she transfers it
Yeah.
before he's 20 or after he's 20?
Before he's 20.
Well, if he transfers it before he's 20, no, because you don't have to choose until 20.
Okay, so what
But
you're
if you-
saying- so
If
what-
you transfer it before he's a major,
Yeah.
then you need a court order to get it out of his name. You
All right,
can't just
so-
transfer it again.
So basically, before on his 18th birthday, transfer everything into his name and everything's all right.
No.
I was going so good. It was very good.
It's okay when he's 18.
Yeah.
But when he gets to 23 or 24,
Yeah.
if somebody goes to the land office and says, look, Dave's son has got land in his name on a Thai national, but he's also got a British passport and there's the copy, it's not going to happen. But if someone did that, then then it will be deemed that he's bought the land as a foreigner, because Thailand doesn't recognise dual citizenship.
So Thailand doesn't recognise dual citizenship after they're 20?
Correct. When they get to the major.
I never knew that.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I'm astounded there.
When they get to major. That's why people...
Why
hide the
is that,
passport.
though? Why?
I don't know.
Just the law.
Why? No,
It's
I know
the
it's the law, but I mean, you know, the laws change every day here. But I'm just,
exactly.
I just want to... I'm asking why.
Well, I suppose, let's say when you get to... I'm not sure the age. Is it 20 or 21 when you have to go into the army? And every Thai national has to go into the army. So if you've got dual nationality, you'd say, well, I'm sorry, I'm a foreigner, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
How can you pick and choose?
Yeah,
You can't.
Right. You're either in it or you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I doubt it would come up. I doubt it would come
I
up.
doubt it.
Nobody's going to do it unless they have a problem for you and they know you've done something. Who's going to know you've bought land, put it in your son's name, and that he's got a passport?
No,
That's the point.
they're
But
not, but
mind you,
it's
thousands of people know now. But
Yeah, but it's
Whoopsie.
it's an interesting fact, and this will be deleted after we've done this show today. And for those that are listening in Braille,
How old is,
son off.
how old is your son now, Dave?
One. Back to 1998, and of course,
Oh.
being here and being around Pattaya and looking at the girls and all the sights that there was. I mean, what was your sort of, you know? Let's take any of you. I mean, you know, what did you think? I mean, you know, you're opening the Go-Go bar. You're here as a visitor at the time. I would imagine on a tourist visa. Yes.
Yes.
Is it still the same rules then, Andy? For I mean, you know, let's take the bar and the tourist visa. What happens? I mean, where did you change? Where did you decide to change your visa, which you had to already?
Well, I
imagine?
didn't, no, because I actually got married in Hong Kong to a Thai girl.
Oh,
So when I came over here, I was on a marriage visa.
okay.
So I didn't...
You didn't need
I've
the
never
time?
actually, in all the years I've been here, I've never actually done one single border visa run.
No.
Never. People say, oh, how's this border run? I've got no clue. I've never done one.
No, I haven't either.
So when I came, I was married, and it doesn't give you any benefits at all. These guys out there thinking getting married to a Thai gives you all these benefits. It gives you a 1-year visa.
It gives you 1 year visa, but it also gives you your tax side of it is pretty cool.
Tax, is it?
I've been married.
as a company.
Talk
I've
me
been
through
married
that.
3 times, and the first time I had a marriage visa, the second time I had a marriage visa, and the third time I got knocked back because the immigration thought that I was marrying Thai girls just to get a visa. That's
Really?
a true story.
Like you would just for a year. Because you don't get any benefits. You can't work here. You don't get any tax breaks, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Family wise, you do though, don't you? If you're married and you're working and you got your permits and that.
Yeah, you get for your kids.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think now
yeah.
they've just increased it. I think you
I
can
didn't
claim
have
for
any
3
kids.
kids.
Huh?
I didn't have any kids
That you know of.
that I know of.
I've got a few.
That's the reason.
That you know about them.
That's the reason they brought out the barcode. But of course, going back to those days, I mean, what was your typical day, guys? I mean, you know, now there's a lot more to do in Pattaya. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of places to go. What did you do in those days besides the girl side of it? I mean, what else did you do? I mean, did you bring friends over? Did you go on bar crawls? I mean, what did you do?
Well, I used to go out, let's say 6, 7 o'clock at night, stay out till probably 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh.
Then I would, because
Well,
then,
you say, ooh, you do that anyway.
I didn't do it that much.
well, Pattaya was open 24/7 back then, not
was.
like now.
It was.
That's the
So
thing.
sometimes I'll be down Walking Street at 7 o'clock in the morning. There'd be rows of food stalls both sides, and I'll be sitting there eating
Marine
food.
disco.
That's it.
Marine disco,
disco
yeah.
was there,
Yeah, right
yeah.
at the top, yeah.
Yeah.
Still there now, isn't
Still
it?
there now, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
I think I've been there twice.
I think I've been
claim
there
to-
once.
So what
Claim
was
to
your
fame.
you guys? I mean, everybody has their sort of favourite place where they used to go. I mean, what was one of your favourite places?
Mine was Tony's Cool Spot.
I was
Tony's.
hoping
Tony's
say,
Cool
I
Spot.
was hoping he was going to say Misty's a Go-Go there.
No.
So,
What was
your
that?
favourite
Tony-
place was your bar.
No, Tony was a guy, half Thai and half American, I think.
Who's got
all the gyms.
Yeah, he's,
And he came over here and he opened up something on the opposite side of Walking Street along from Marine Bar called Tony Cool Spot. And what he did was that he hired 2 black rappers from New York, and it was the first time that you'd see. Normally in a bar, it will be playing Hotel California and typing.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was the first bar with 2 black
In
cool-
1998-ish.
Yes.
Jesus,
Yes.
I
Wow,
never
that's
saw
that's
that.
that's
Yes,
that's
and he
fast.
opened up Tony's Cool Spot, and what he did was that he was well into the gym at that time, and he got 5 or 6 friends from the gym that were the security.
This is not Tony.
Tony
yes,
Jims.
Yes, this Tony.
Oh, Tony,
Yes,
right,
yes.
yeah, okay.
And he had 5 or 6 security. That was his security for the place. And Tony's Cool Spot every single day. If you didn't get there by 11 or 12 o'clock, you couldn't get in. It was packed,
Wow.
absolutely rammed out.
But
that was a great place to be.
for that year, Andy. I mean, that's pretty advanced, wasn't it? I mean, you
Well,
got
to have
that.
rappers coming
To
in.
have rappers coming in, nobody had ever done it
Nobody,
before. Nobody, and it was great. And Tony could also play the. He was a musician as
1998
well.
was rap that prominent anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't, was it? In 1998, was it?
98
Well,
was,
no,
yeah.
was
It was
it?
pretty cool. You got
Oh, was it?
you got like the message and all.
Well, these guys,
Grandmaster
are
Flash.
talking to them. These guys come from New York and were proper rappers, and
Yeah.
they were great people. They knew all the songs and everything. They were good. And then what happened was that Tony's got too big, and he was turning people away. So then he moved across the way, and he got
Tony's Disco.
Yeah, Tony's Disco, the massive thing there.
And that place used to be
That was
rammed.
rammed out.
Rammed.
Yes, it was a place to be.
So-
I used to walk in there
98.
because I knew Tony, and when I walked into the bar, he'd always be at the top playing the keyboard,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
singing
that's
and
what he
whatever.
did.
And he'd see me, and he'd go, "Andy James, Misty's a Go-Go, #1 bar in Passing." Like, no, don't say that, please. I'm just learning what to do here. But he was always really, really welcoming. A nice guy, really good guy.
I've interviewed him a few times and he plays the keyboard, but you know,
Yeah.
when he wears the sunglasses to him, it says, "Tony, you're great, but when you play that, you look like Ray Charles." It's good. But he's good, isn't he?
He's very
he
good.
likes,
Did he give you the pose?
He likes to jump. Oh, yeah, he did that. I got the poster while I tried to do that at the side of him, but we never got a good picture.
He was a good guy.
Good guy, yeah.
In fact, I remember Tony when we had all the problems with having to close early. Tony thought it'd be a great idea to open a disco boat. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Disco.
Yes. You could get on it, but you couldn't get
You
off
couldn't
it.
get off, no. But
That's a great. That's great, isn't it?
So you know we're
Come
all
to my
about-
club and you can get on, but you can't get off.
So you know where all the boats are in the
Yeah,
harbour?
yeah.
the sort of
they'd all be
restaurants.
lined up to go there, and then when you've had enough and you want to come back, there wouldn't be any boats there.
No. And
Is that
also,
what you call a captive audience?
eventually the cops cottoned onto it and closed him down, didn't they?
Yes, yes.
Why?
Because people were raving there till 6, 7, 8 in the morning without a care in the world. International waters, allegedly not.
All right, stay with that thought just for a second. We'll just have a quick one of these.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
On the water in Pattaya and taking you back to '98, and of course working his way up until today. Great kind of marketing, that though, isn't it? You know, having a boat in the audience in the marina there and filling it full of guys and girls and
Well,
taking
funny
them
enough,
out.
Old
Like it.
Tone had his own bar at one point, didn't you, Tony?
Yeah, quite
Did
a
you
few
do
of
it?
them, yes.
Yes.
Got complete. Do tell.
Well, I
Do tell.
was a shareholder in Pussycat A Go-Go in Naglua.
That was after the beer bar.
That was after the beer bar.
Yeah.
The beer bar I bought from, well, it was Kelly's beer bar. down
Kelly.
Soy 2. Yeah,
Kelly.
it was Kelly's Rock and Roll Bar, and then
Kelly's.
it changed into Wallace Rock and Roll Bar, and I had that for about, I think, 6 or 7 years.
Soy 8, that wasn't it?
No, that was Soy 2.
Soy 2, sorry.
Soy 8, I was the Go-Go bar manager when I first came here in Paradise A Go-Go.
I remember that.
That's it. That's where. What happened was that when I came here, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought I want to open a bar. I didn't have any clue about a bar whatsoever.
That's original.
So I decided.
None of us did.
But what I did was that I got a job as a manager for 6 months, so I could learn everything I could about
Good
the
move.
bar.
You were clever,
Good
I
move.
didn't.
Before I went to buy a bar.
Good move.
That's
so,
it.
So after 6 months, you've seen how much money they're taking. You're thinking, ching ching, this is a good idea. I'm going to do one myself. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to know where to buy the beer, and one day the guy walked in. I mean, at that point there was no, I don't know, but I don't think you could get a work permit for a bar back then. I don't know. Maybe you could.
Maybe you
I
could.
had one, Tony.
But I didn't have one. And,
Didn't you have one? I know a good lawyer.
Of course I did.
I didn't have one. And opposite where the bar was the immigration in Soy 8 before it moved.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember
And one day the immigration guy walked in, and he walked up to me and said, "I'm immigration. We want to take care of you. My brother sells ice, and you're paying 20 baht a kilo. My brother can sell it for 15 baht
We're
a
talking
kilo."
about cold ice, not the other ice.
Ice cubes.
Ice cubes.
I'm glad you put, I'm
20
glad you
bars
put that
a kilo.
in.
Filthy mind.
Strike that. Dub.
And my brother can sell it for 15 baht a kilo. Will you buy from my brother? So I went, yeah, okay. And he said, fine, I'll take care of you forever.
Hasn't it gone up a kilo since?
So the next day, he's come back in, and I've spoken to my boss, and they've said, no. Even saving 5 baht a kilo, we're not going to do that because we've used this guy for God knows how long, and we're not going to change it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, immigration's going to come in and get me because I'm not buying the ice and everything like that. Oh,
Did you buy ice for the sake of it, by the way?
no.
And after the bar, I mean, what happened? I mean, you went into the managership of a go-go bar, yeah?
No, you
Yeah.
went into ownership, didn't you?
Ownership, yeah.
Yeah.
And where was that? Did you say?
That was in Soy 2, in the beer
Naklua.
bar complex in Soy 2. And also in Naglua, the
In
go-go
Naklua?
bar.
Okay. I mean, and what was that like in those days at Naklua, though? I mean,
That was a great little bar, that.
Was it,
good
yeah, but
bar.
surely it was a
Very
bit
good.
desolate up there, wasn't it?
No.
Naklua?
It was Germantown up there. It was
Yes.
packed with Germans.
Okay.
Naklua was German.
And there was only 2 go-go bars in Naglua because apparently when we applied for the license, you could get it, and then they closed applying for the license, and nobody else could open a go-go bar in
I
Naglua.
bet you
Is
weren't
that when they
zoned either.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I was just about to say. That was like when they started zoning places. Yes. So if you got your license pre the
You're
zoning,
grandfathered in.
you was
as
fine.
long as you continue to extend it. You can't let it lapse and then extend it 3 years later because then you're not grandfathered.
And how long was you there for?
I was in that bar for about 3 years, I think, 2.5, 3 years. It was a great time.
One of the funniest things that had happened in one of your bars. Can you remember any of those guys?
Tell them the elephant story.
Come on, tell us the elephant
There was
story.
an elephant walking past one day,
Huh?
and there was an elephant walking
elephants used
past
to
one
walk-
day.
No,
They used to walk
seriously.
around the town all the
around
time.
the town all the time.
And
Okay.
the bar was pretty quiet, so we went out there and brought the elephant in the bar, and he started drinking some water and walking around the bar, and that was it. That's true. So I've got pictures,
And
I can prove
his
it. I've
bar
got
was
pictures.
bigger than Misty's.
Uh-huh.
And we had, the elephants were used to coming into bars. They'd come in,
Yeah.
they'd duck their heads, they'd come in.
How great is that? How cool is it though? How cool is that to say you've had an elephant in your bar?
If you had to clean the shit up, you wouldn't have thought it was that
Well,
wonderful.
I wasn't going down that road, Andy. I wasn't going. Trust you to bring shit into it.
And you want to see where they put their truncheon.
Yeah. And the go-go bar was born. Yeah. No,
But it
I
was
like
quite
that.
a normal thing.
Yeah.
Bangkok, it used to happen.
Yeah.
The elephants would be walking around Bangkok with their trainer or whatever, and they'd go in and, you give them a few bob, and all the tourists loved it. And those days are well gone.
Well, the Mahats used to take the bananas and stuff and sell them to the crowds for 20 baht,
Yeah.
didn't they, to
Which
feed the elephant?
they still do now, don't they?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they're not allowed on the roads now.
No.
Mind you, they wasn't allowed on the roads back then, but they got away with it. But now,
That-
when was the last time you saw an elephant on a road?
Well, when I first
Is that a joke?
when I first came to Pattaya, you would if you saw a car on the road, that was a wealthy person. It was bikes.
Wow.
There was hardly any cars
And
on
pickups,
the road.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I showed you a little picture earlier. And
Yes.
I said, "Can you guess where this is?" I mean, I was just teasing you, but Soy 6. I mean, wow, it was a VW van in a shack.
Yes.
I
Well,
mean,
that picture of just a van and one person
Yeah.
busier than Soy 6 2 nights ago. Oh my God! I drove down. No, I'm not laughing about it. I feel terrible. I mean, town is just
it is.
tumbleweeds
It is at the moment. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a dire situation
everywhere.
at the moment. I mean, in all seriousness, we joke and whatever, but I mean, do you guys? I mean, you're two educated guys. You're men of the world. I was paid to say that. By the way. Hang on. How much did we get paid to say that, Bobby? Lots. Okay.
Must have been a lot.
You two are intelligent guys and men of the road. It was a lot, wasn't it? It was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah. Okay. You two guys are
Bobby
intelligent.
just agrees.
And you
3 times he said that.
What
say yes,
I
Bobby.
do. I got
Yeah.
paid 3 times as
Okay.
well. So what about now? I mean, the situation. Let's talk seriously for a minute. The situation now. When do you guys realistically think we're going to see any improvement here? Tony, you go first.
Next December, maybe?
Next December, not this December.
I would
No.
absolutely concur, and I think that's being
Optimistic.
At least a year plus.
The thing is that you have to find a vaccine, then you have to open the borders, and then who's going to come? Nobody's earned any money for the last year or so. Everyone's struggling for jobs. The last thing they're going to think of is go to a tropical country for a holiday.
The big thing that's going to really be a problem, England is stopping next month, I believe, the 80% salaries to people.
Yes, the
That's-
furlong,
The
whatever.
furlong, yeah.
They are, and they've also just put in place the 6 people. You can only go
Yes,
6
I've seen
people
that.
together now.
The 6 people not such a big issue, but this furlong that stops, if people are not going to work, they're not going to earn. Now, then I think we're going to see some serious ramifications, because companies that have been surviving by the government paying that are possibly going to crash, right? And then people who were, they've got to go back to work, or there's no income coming in, the governments are not paying anymore. If there's no job for them, I think unemployment's going to really hugely jump. I think there's going to be a lot of issues when they stop that.
My mate said to me, what are you doing in Thailand? And I says, we're all surviving at the moment. And he basically said, if it goes tits up, get yourself a dinghy, come into Dover and you get a 5-star hotel and get 26 grand a year.
As a refugee,
as a refugee.
Get a bit of a tan first.
Yeah. But so you think, you're thinking
it's
December.
Scary. It's scary. You wouldn't think that this really started to affect us maybe February, March. Go back about 4 months before that, where everything's normal.
Well, it wasn't. It was dead then.
It was normal-ish.
But it was struggling then.
Yeah, but it was still normal.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that this would come out, that something's going to come out in the world that is going to change the world like this? So now, I truly believe there's never going to be a World War III. It doesn't need to be. This come from one person, supposedly from China. So if they want to do something, all they've got to do is just infect one person, send them out, and that's it.
But
a bat or a chicken?
Yeah, but how much of this? We could, like I said, and Bobby knows himself. He'll come in on the debate. How much of this is actually true? When you take it all into consideration, it's very easy to start rumors now these days with the words internet, Facebook, YouTube, everything. It's very easy.
Yes.
So you go back in time when
something we didn't say the other week. Sorry to butt in.
Yes, okay, it's all right.
When SARS came out, I was living in Hong Kong. And SARS, allegedly, so we were told, was something like 10 times, the mortality rate was 10 times worse than COVID-19.
But there was one difference.
The big difference was this, that SARS was in 2003, and what didn't exist in 2003 was the likes of
media.
Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram,
sure.
where everybody's got their phone glued, they're watching the news, the social media, blah, 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 blah. And the world didn't close down for SARS, yet COVID-19 comes along and the whole world is literally closed down. And I blame a lot of it on social media and the misinformation.
I watched a program the other night, which is The Social Network, and they're saying they had these people from Facebook, from Google, from YouTube, from everywhere, right? They're ex-people. They don't work there anymore, right? And now they're doing this campaigning. They were doing before, they were making all the software and getting people to use things. Yeah. Now they're campaigning to say this, that because of the telephone that like Andy's got in his hand now, that telephone knows what he looks at, what he does.
Yes.
Yeah. And that telephone also knows when he's put it down and it's idle to send him a message, so he picks it up again.
Yes.
And what they were doing was incredible. It's like, she's put the phone down for a second. We'll send her a hello from somebody, or we'll give her a nudge.
You're dead right. If I go on to Lazada and look at a couple of things, and if whatever I was looking at, all of a sudden I start getting all these ads on Facebook.
Me too.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
You just go on to Lazada.
When you look at the Sun, I look at the Sun every day just to look at the news back in the UK.
Right.
And then I might have been searching for, say, plane tickets to Phuket. And then in the Sun, where they have the paid adverts, there's tickets to Phuket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, wow.
That's picking
Because
up.
they
That's
know
picking up. You said that, wouldn't you, Bobby? It's picking up. It's picking
AI.
up on your AI. It's picking up on your rhythm, isn't it?
Another bar, getting back to bars, that was very prevalent that Toad and I knew the owners of was the good old Dog's Bollocks.
Dog's
yes.
Bollocks.
Yes,
Was
yes,
that a bar?
Yeah.
was a bar.
What,
yeah.
the name of the bar?
The Dog's Bollocks, yeah.
What?
Which is a
name.
drink in Australia.
What a
is it
great
not?
name.
Yeah.
It's a drink in Australia.
Yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
it was run by the Chelsea Headhunters, or ex-Chelsea Headhunters.
Okay.
Chris and Stevie
yeah.
Hickman, yeah. And, oh my God. That was the good old days, wasn't
And
it?
what year we're talking of there?
Oh, God. Probably 98, 99, 2000.
No, it would have been because there was a problem with them in the bar once.
Oh, there were problems
Which was-
everywhere. But they were good lads.
Yeah. They was good
Underlyingly.
lads. No, they was good lads. I had about 5 guys staying in the Paradise Bar, and they was from London, and they'd gone past the bar, and one of them had a fight. But anyway, the next day I'd
Bit of
heard
football banter.
Yeah. But next day I heard that all the lads from the Dog's Bollocks were going to come down to the bar to get these guys.
Damn good thrashing.
So what I've done is I've told them to get out, and they've gone to Bangkok. And then I'm sat in the bar waiting for the lads to turn up. And at this time I had my other bar in Soi 2. So I said to the mum and saying, well, I'm just going to go to Soi 2 a minute. I drove up on Soi 8 on my motorbike, and about 40 or 50 guys
Easily.
walking down the street like 6'2" and
Tattooed.
130 kilos.
Huge.
And I've gone straight through the middle of them. I've driven back down Soi 7. I've come back into Soi 8. My security guy on the front of the door is waving his hands, going, Tony.
The bollocks are coming.
Right. So I've just walked straight in the middle of the bar, and I've just shouted out, which one of you's Chris? And Chris come over and said, I'm Chris.
Chris Henderson,
Yeah.
Sadly,
And I
rest
said,
in peace,
right,
Chris.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I said, I'm Tony. And he said, right, where are the lads? And I said, well, I told him to get out of town because I heard the rumour. And I said to them, they wouldn't have stood much of a chance. There was 5 of them, and there's 40 of you. And he said, no, we're fair. We would have picked 5 of our lads to fight with 5 of their lads. And the 5 lads that he had were like 6'3" and like 130 kilos. So that was it. So I shook his hand, bought him a drink. He bought me a drink, and that was it.
Chris was the lead singer of a band called Combat 84 in the day.
Yeah, Skinheads.
Yeah, Skinheads.
Combat 84.
Yeah, and they did a documentary on him. Didn't they? If you go onto YouTube, Combat 84 or Chris Henderson, and there was like a really old documentary in the 70s where they did a 3-part series on him or something. It was quite interesting if you knew Chris.
What's the, if I ask you Andy, having missed this for so long, what's the biggest change you've seen in the go-go scene since you've been here? Besides more go-go bars, I mean, what would you say the attitude?
Do you know the change that I really don't like that happened for whatever reasons it happened was when agencies came into the bars. That's when it really changed the demographic to...
Agencies being what, Andy, for the people out there?
Well, overnight... I'm not going to get into the reasons why the agencies popped up, but they popped up for various reasons. And literally overnight, half my girls had left the bar who'd worked with me for ages. And the salaries were, X amount per month. And all of a sudden, hold on.
I've told him not to spit in that bucket. Bobby, stop spitting in that bucket, will you? This is not the Wild West.
What actually happened was the girls left all the go-go bars and they went to... I don't blame them either.
Yeah.
And the agencies were then the only place you could get a girl. If you did not go to an agency, you would have no dancers, and no dancers meant no bar.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, the salaries went up from maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 grand a month to 1,500 baht a day.
Yeah.
So my overhead went, and you get all these customers or tourists, the bars are... We didn't want the prices to go up, but they had to go up because we simply couldn't get girls unless we went through an agency. Thankfully, hopefully with COVID, the agencies have died a miserable death, and that might reset things.
So what about? So you're saying that the normal girls that come from wherever they come from and come into Pattaya are now not doing things themselves. They're all going through these.
Well, there's nowhere open. No.
No, but
What's actually happened
Andy,
was it went from normal girls coming in for a job in a bar.
Sure.
With a mama, because Mama Sans became redundant. At the time when we had our Mama Sans town, they would be responsible for bringing
the
girls
key
in.
person in the bar,
Yes,
of course.
yeah.
Mama Sans, when the agencies happened, just became there to check the girls that were in on time and out on time.
Oh.
The whole demographic of a Mama San changed. And the only way we could really get girls was go to an agency, because why would a girl come to a bar and work for 14 grand a month when she can dictate 1,500 baht a day, where the agency would take a couple of hundred.
And they were on 10-day contracts. So they
10-day
could work,
contracts. So they worked 10 days.
get 15,000 baht.
But where it really hurt the bars, especially a bar like mine or Tony's or any of the or Classroom or any of the bars where they had a Western management, opposed to just a bar where you were, as a customer, you went in as a number, where, like the Classroom or Misty's or other bars where you knew the manager, you knew the owner, it was a cool place to hang out, I know the boss sort of thing. The demographic changed because guys would come in and meet a girl they liked, and then after 10 days, that girl, there was no loyalty. It would be, my 10 days contract's up now, that bar wasn't so busy this week, so now I'm going to try a different bar. And they would just dot it. So guys would come and go, oh, is Lucy still in, or Noy, or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, no, she's working over in, whichever bar now. Oh, one beer and gone. So it was really bad for the loyalty, for guys to come in and see girls that they'd known on and off for years. That was the bit I missed.
This is what's leading me into another question. This is from a few friends I've been speaking to on the net about the shows, what we're doing, and things like that. One of the things that they said is that it's like from what it was, Pattaya. Like let's take it 5-10 years ago, whatever. It used to be very. You used to feel welcome. You used to feel looked after. You used to feel as though they wanted you there, and they get pampered, and they talk to you, and that. And now they say they've been back before COVID, and they say it's a bit mechanical.
Well, don't
you agree
forget,
with that?
Back then you didn't have social media again. You didn't have telephones. You didn't have anything like that.
You didn't have to do.
That's it. When I had my first girlfriend here, my first serious girlfriend, when I wanted to speak to her, I had to phone up. She was working in the shop. They wouldn't allow phone calls.
Pigeon.
The what?
You have to send a pigeon.
Yeah.
chicken.
I had to phone up the real estate agents that would go to her shop and get her. Then I could speak to her, and they would charge her 200 baht for going to get her. And that's how I used to communicate. There was no emails. Couldn't send a letter.
But what do you think about the thing I'm trying to say is the hospitality, the feeling in the bar of being looked after, being taken care of, and being made feel welcome.
Well, that was very much down to the bar, I think.
Yeah, but it was also the girls only had one place to get the guys. They didn't have the places that they've got now, so they would try to do their best to make sure the guys would come back. Nowadays, they don't have to do that.
Now you've got the likes of your Tinder and your Thai friendlies.
Yeah, but today, like you say, I mean, you've got the girls that come down here and they're in the go-go bars and they work. I mean, when they're in the go-go bars and if they've got their phones, basically, they've got all these different.
What you've just said there is, have the girls' attitudes changed from?
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Yes, they have.
The word is attitude. The word is attitude, Andy.
They've come a little bit more business-like, which was part of the attraction that they weren't that way. But times move on, and I've had this chat with Tony and lots of other people, long-term people, and you sit there going, "Oh, Patty was so much better 15 years ago." But you'll have somebody sitting here in 10 years' time saying how much better it was.
Yeah.
It just depends on the time. Angela City, the same. I mean, Angela City was great when I first went there.
Yeah.
And now I think it's crap.
Right.
And it's changed. And, but somebody's still coming to Pattaya on their first holiday.
We'd love it. Yes,
wow. Yeah, I'm just talking. I'm just trying to get a hold of people like yourselves and other people that have been coming here for years and how they see the change. I mean, of course, we all have change. There's just change all the time, but it was just the attitude of the change that I was trying to get at, which
become more business-like. Yeah, for sure.
You'd agree with that?
Yes, and Pattaya's grown, so it's got bigger. So they're spread about all over the place, and there's more places for them to get the guys. That's the point.
But now in Pattaya, I think we looked at it the other day, didn't we? The figures, there's 169,000 people live here. Yeah, is that right? 119, I think it was, wasn't it? 180,000.
Expats.
There's 180,000 people, community, that live here in Pattaya.
Thais as well?
Thais, yeah.
Okay.
More than that.
Yeah, we were surprised, actually. If you put the population of Pattaya into your phone, you find that it's not a lot.
Wow.
We were surprised. 2019, that was.
Well, it could be many people, many girls that come down here to work and live here.
That's not counting the
actual residents.
Yeah, not the people that come here. So, we're in this situation now with COVID and what's happening now, and we can see that a lot of people are A, moving, B, closing down, going elsewhere, going back to their families and all that. And sadly, a lot of businesses are closing. I mean, so like you said, what's going to happen between now and, say, you said December next year? I mean, what's the new Pattaya going to be like? Because now they're planning to spend this 2.9 billion baht, which now has got the go-ahead to build out their new place at the top of Bali Pier, knock everything down and open the shopping centre and make it all nice. I mean, where do you see it?
You still need people to come here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point.
I see a little bit of a different demographic in the respect of, forget the tourists for now and COVID. The train, when that's finished, at the moment you've got people living in Bangkok and the traffic there is terrible. Also, Bangkok's sinking by about...
I think it's inches or something, a year or something. Yeah, a year.
Right.
Yeah.
So at some point, parts of Bangkok will be underwater. But what's going to happen is, if you look at people who live in Bangkok, they're working in an office, they wake up in the morning, they jump in their car, and it's a 2-hour commute to do... I don't know, 3 kilometres.
Yeah, sure.
And then to get home in the rush hour, it's a 3 hours. So there's 5 hours out their day. I think a lot of Bangkokians are going to move down to Pattaya. They've got the benefits of the beach. The property prices are cheaper. And that train will do it in 40 minutes. So you could actually live in Pattaya and be quicker into your office in Bangkok by living in Pattaya than actually living in Bangkok.
The 4 days that's just gone was absolutely rammed up at John Diem.
Yes,
we was up there. It was absolutely
But it was rammed up for the businesses that cater to Thais.
It was
That was the point, because it was a local market.
Well, there was a lot of places that weren't just for Thais that were doing reasonably well as well.
John Diem was actually, there was quite a lot of foreign people in there, but I mean, the Thais that come down from Bangkok, like Andy's saying, they came down on the Friday morning or whatever, they came down and they stay until the Monday night or whatever. I went to John Diem, Bobby was down there as well, and it was rammed. Okay. It was
with Thais
rammed.
mostly.
Yeah, but what you're saying,
there was an
Andy,
overspill into the likes of Trattoria Toscana, Lucas Place. That he had a really good weekend. I know Cafe Dares with Blue had a really.
Oh, we got to mention Blue.
Oh,
we gotta
Blue.
mention
Yeah,
Blue.
we asked.
Why is he so miserable? Why doesn't he come on this show?
He's not miserable. He's just scared.
Why is he scared?
Of you?
No, well, I think he's more fearful of me, actually.
It's not me, Tony. It's him, mate. Believe me.
I did ask him to come on the show, and he said that he was a little bit scared. So I mentioned.
Why? Why is he scared? We'd be nice to him.
Might hold his hand. And
So was I the fourth or the fifth choice then?
You were one of two choices.
Okay.
But no, not a particular date. Just would you like
tell
to
him
come
the
on show
truth,
sometime?
Andy. Tell him the truth.
That is the truth.
That's not the truth.
I spoke to Blue.
There were
I spoke to
16
Tony.
people in that hat, and he got pulled out. Tell him the truth.
And Tony's doing some work for me. Don't mess it up. All right.
You were his first choice. You were his first choice.
Tony was my first choice. Magna Carta.
Okay.
That's the place to go.
But where do we see this, guys? Where do we see? Let's just go back to present thing, and we can reminisce a little bit about some other stuff. But when we get to December, what's the new Pattaya going to be like? Because there's going to be, I think there's going to be at least half of this town gone. Yeah, I think
you're right.
I
don't think December's going to do anything different.
No, I mean,
think
next we're
December's going to
talking-
be as dead as it is
No, I
today.
mean next December, not this December, next December. And when they come to open it, do you think that they're going to start shifting everything around and cleaning it up and doing whatever?
It's like the ones that open now. There's quite a few places that opened, stayed open for a month or 2 months and closed again because realised that they just can't do it. Whereas there's some around where I live, round by the lake, you've got the Retox and you've got the Oasis and you've got the Loft, and they're full every single night.
Yeah, and also their
expats
overheads
that live there.
are nowhere near what a go-go bars are going to be seriously hit.
Yes.
The like gentle gentlemen's clubs where their overheads aren't too high, and restaurants and bars.
But that's the people that are
they'll be okay.
living here. Yeah, the people that are living
Exactly.
here.
So the go-go bars are really for tourists. Let's be honest.
Sure.
There's locals that drink in them all the time, but in general, they're for tourists. So the stuff that's not for tourists, I think, a decent one will scrape through and get through this.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree. But you're right. There's going to be a lot that go by the wayside.
Well, there is at the moment. What I'm trying to get at is, do you think that they're going to do like what I call the Amsterdam syndrome, is where they sort of clean it up and put it all in one place, and then that's that, and then shift everything else around? Do you think that'll happen?
No, I don't think that'll ever happen.
Right. It was just a question that came out of the blue, but you don't see that.
No,
so
I think Pattaya is always going to be Pattaya, but probably it's going to be scaled down. Not for the fact that the government have scaled it down, for the fact that there aren't enough people here to scale it up.
It's like I said. If you imagine this table, if you imagine the small circle there was Pattaya before, with so many thousands of hundreds of thousands of people coming to here, and then suddenly it goes like this. But you've still got the same amount of people. That sort of spreads it out even more.
Well, it did that years ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was spread too much anyway.
Yeah.
But I think what you'll do is you'll be driving down LK or walking / driving street, and you don't know what bars. The names are still there. They're closed. You don't know when things are normal, what's going to open and what isn't. I would pretty much guess a hell of a lot of bars have already gone.
Yes.
Which will never reopen again. And you don't know that because you're driving down, you're seeing this bar. Oh, they're all still there waiting for this. But it just depends on what deals they've got with their landlords, how deep their pockets are. And I think when time comes that, we can open and there's no quarantine, I think a lot of those doors will not open. That's restaurants, bars.
I think one thing I've seen is that in the entertainment industry, the businesses tend to run from month to month. Not really loads of deep pockets or anything like that. They operate for a month, they earn a good money, they pay everything out, and then they go to the next month. They don't get to the point where 4 or 5 months down the line they haven't got an income. That's it. They're gone.
Yeah, and it's very quick. It's a very quick process because the overhead. I mean, you look at the likes of Hertz that went bust.
Yeah.
Overnight, they had offices all over the world. Okay, overnight, nobody was renting a car, but they were still paying rents on the offices. They were still paying staff. Yet the car business literally stopped overnight. How long did they last? 8 weeks before they went bust. Gone. And because the overhead is still ticking, yet the business is not there. So I foresee a lot of big companies that I think have just been holding on for dear life or enjoying this 80% of the pay to the workers to stay home, which have already gone. And when this furlong comes up, there will be no job for people to go back to.
But surely in get me if I'm wrong, I mean, surely now with the way it is in Pattaya now and the people that are out there have got bars and establishments, wherever they are, hotels or whatever they've got, surely at the moment, like you said, it's just how deep their pocket is for now, isn't it?
It's cheaper to close and stay open.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
You think that as well, yeah, Tone?
Yes, definitely.
You know,
Definitely. You can't. I mean, like I saw on Facebook the other day, Steak & Co.'s gone.
Has he?
Yeah. It's Steak & Co. closed down.
Which was Linky, yeah?
Yeah, Soy
Soy
Linky.
Linky. Wow.
There was a taco place on Soy Siam that was well known as the best taco place in the whole of town. That's now gone. So it's just people are saying that it's cheaper to close and do nothing.
or they've run out of money and gone.
Well, we've had the guy at Fairtex. I mean, at the hotel, Fairtex.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy that rented it for $1 million a month, he's just walked away.
I have to.
No, but he's not even paid the rent. He's just gone
Why?
to the owner.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah, see
Yeah,
ya.
why would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I get it, but there's a lot of that. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is that there's going to be some people that survive.
Yes, of
course.
course.
Of
course,
There's always
yeah.
survivors.
There's always survivors.
Yes.
But what
Lawyers.
What? Yeah, lawyers.
Boom, boom.
Got any lawyer jokes?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you've got all these businesses that have gone, Tone and Andy, if all these businesses are gone, I'm sure we're going to end up with like a row of shop houses, for example, and there's going to be 50 of them and one bar there and one bar there.
No, people.
I mean,
will come,
what do you think will happen?
There's always
businesses
people
will
that,
open.
people will come back. People always come back. Every time when I was in the bar industry and a bar would sell for 25 million and you think, how on earth could that sell for 25 million? But it did. There was always one that come to pay 25 million.
Yeah.
So now what's going to happen is that I know of a group of 2 or 3 people that are going around buying businesses really cheap, knowing that they can't open them for a year and a half, but they're in it for the long term.
Yeah,
So they've made a deal with the landlords, they bought the bars, they've just shut them, and they'll open them in a year and a half or 2 years'
So
time.
they'll walk in for really cheap money.
Yes.
And I mean...
And let's admit, there is a lot of things at the moment that are so cheap here.
Anybody that's got cash is king at the moment. Cash can do everything at the
cash
moment.
is king.
Cash is king.
Definitely.
Anything we can add to the chat, guys? Anything you want to get in there before we say goodbye today? I mean, is there anything there from you, Tony?
It's been fun. It's been an experience.
It's been special.
It's been special. One thing I learned, Andy said earlier that he married in Hong Kong. I thought Andy was gay. So I've had that wrong 100%.
All these years.
I thought he was gay. So
Tony Justice, let me tell you, I am not bent. I'm just pleasantly twisted.
In a backward motion.
Yes. So that's it. I learned something today. There you go. What can you say?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been good, guys. It's been nice.
Yeah.
And
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hopefully we get some...
We'll try and get Blue on.
yeah, we get Blue on, and you're welcome to come anytime.
Okay.
Come at any time, and we just chat around the table.
Can I have the chicken next time I come?
Give him the chicken. Give him the chicken.
A little squeeze.
Okay, thank you. I've never done this before in my life.
What?
Yank the
Okay.
chicken.
You've never yanked a chicken in
No,
your life?
never.
He's yanked his chicken
You've
regularly.
yanked
I'm
your chicken a few
sophisticated. I'm
times.
sophisticated.
Oh yeah, okay.
Stop
So you
it.
don't. So you don't come. You arrive. He's posh. Posh. It's been great to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
It's been really, really good. Andy, thanks a lot for
Dave, nice to see you.
bringing
Bobby,
Tony.
good to see you over there.
Good to see you, Bobby.
Always
So quiet.
al-
You ever going to give him a mic?
Yeah, come on. Have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed it?
You guys are yakking away. I can't compete with that, man. Come on.
Have you enjoyed
Are you
today?
American?
Has it been nice today?
It's been real nice.
Bobby's
Good.
American.
Yeah.
Hey? Yeah.
I know he's never said a word. I don't know. Hello, Bobby.
Shy American.
It's a shy American.
unusual.
Thanks, guys. It's been really good. Okay,
Cheers.
thanks a lot for coming in the studio. And hopefully we'll come back, part 2, part 3, whatever we do. It's always good to get in the studio. Bring anybody you want. Let's have a chat and let's have a chin wag. Okay, thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host, Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.